What is up, everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of making a successful gaming YouTube channel. Today, Epos is guiding us through the world of production quality, editing tips, creating style, programs for editing videos and for editing thumbnails, editing tips, music, where can I find some awesome royalty-free music, and of course, some render settings thrown in there. What is up, Epos? Thank you so much. Part 1 we did last week over on my channel. All the basics of cap cards, mics, etc., the stuff you need to get going, but now we're taking it the next step, which a lot of people had questions on, the editing. This one is your realm, is it not?
A little bit.
Opening up then, what is production quality? Why does it matter, and how does one creator go about achieving it?
Production quality is like, it's so hard to describe, but as soon as you get the concept, it just kind of clicks in your head. And so it's the level of polish, the things that add to a video to make it pop, to make it really resonate with the viewer. It's the difference between literally just recording gameplay, recording your voice, and uploading it, and the more, like network level videos that have sound effects, overlay graphics, the stuff you see on GameStop TV versus maybe your brother's YouTube channel.
Totally.
It's the extra elements that really make the video just that much more enjoyable.
Totally. Like, think about local TV versus national TV. It's a very apparent difference to you, the viewer, but how do you get better at it? And I think it just takes practice and a lot of personal effort to learn. Anyone, and I literally mean anyone, can learn how to edit video, but they have to be willing to be proactive. There are an insane amount of free learning resources available to people these days online. And when learning how to use editing software, you're gonna have questions, you're gonna get stuck, and you'll make mistakes. Everybody does, but you can research your questions and look for specific solutions like, my frame rate looks really weird. What can I do about that? Clever Google search lands you on Creative Cow's forums. Boom, you fix the render settings, and it's looking nice and crispy at 60 FPS once again.
Absolutely. And what this is going to rub some people the wrong way, but again, you got to think about it with the right mindset. How I have learned to get a lot of my production value increased, my production quality just much higher than it was like even 3 years ago, was simply watch a lot of the top YouTubers or creators, or even outside of YouTube, media content with the kind of content you watch. Now we're talking about gaming content specifically here. So watch your favorite gaming YouTubers. Watch people who have the millions of subscribers and find out what they do in their videos that you really like. If there's something you don't like, don't fake it just for the sake of the obligation. But if there's something in a video that you say, hey, I really liked that, or hey, that stood out to me, take notes, figure out, what specifically they did, and then look into integrating that into your video, be it the graphical overlay, figure out how to make that, or who you can commission to make you some graphics, sound effects, if it's from like a game or whatever, figure out where they got those and how you could integrate it. Don't copy, adapt, and make it work within your content, but a lot of these same like consistent things that are done can be recreated in ways that actually work really well for your content, as long as you're not just making the exact same video.
It's a never-ending process, right? We're constantly practicing, learning, and improving, so you're never going to reach this level where like, I'm the best editor in the world, done. No, you're always learning and taking elements, and what you mentioned there is watching other people. That is how you find and create your style. A lot of times when a new creator gets into the scene, they copy and paste the exact type of video that their favorite content creator is doing. Like, let's say, I love Markiplier. I'm going to start my channel, and I'm going to do scary games. I'm going to record myself doing Five Nights at Freddy's, and I'm going to do it exactly like he did it, and then nobody watches it.
Yeah.
Because it's not your style. Developing your style, how does that come about?
It takes a lot of time. I want to say that first and foremost is you can't just expect to make 2 videos and figure it out and then just do the exact same thing moving forward. It's something that will always adapt and something that just continues to develop, but it comes from essentially the grind, practice, making more videos, figuring out what works best, not only in entertaining your viewers, but in your workflow. Like the way that you integrate certain sound effects, is if there's a way that you can do it that's quicker while still making the video better, that becomes part of your style. Like there's some YouTubers out there who leave in the bloopers or when they mess up, and they, instead of, cutting that out, like a lot of people would cut that out to make a more seemingly polished video and have a ton of jump cuts everywhere. They instead leave in the bloopers and the mess ups, and that they find a way to like edit that up to make it funny, and that's their comedic tone. And basically every little aspect of your editing or your creation process can come become part of your style. It's just a matter of breaking down every single video and not just popping out a video because you need to make a video. That sense of obligation when you're first starting out a channel can honestly kind of kill your content. Is, oh, I just needed to make a video today, so let me record whatever I can think of and throw it up there just because I feel that obligation. And that honestly kills so many channels as soon as they start.
Yeah, it's that thing where, well, it worked for him, it's got to work for me. However, when you watch other YouTubers, you're not trying to copy them, but you're trying to just take elements and learn from their best practices and then implement them into your own work. So let's say you watch 15 people, you take a cool little concept from this guy, or you loved the sound effect this guy used here, or that intro that guy made. I really want something that resonates like that. Be yourself, but understand that YouTube is also meant to be entertainment. You know, if you're a Let's Player and you're dead silent and you don't talk except for every 6 minutes, it's not going to be very entertaining. Whereas you watch a very skilled Let's Player, you see how they implement the commentary in the right gaps at the right times, and they always find something interesting to say that maybe ties to the game or themselves. Anyone in creative media who is successful has gone through this process and is continually reevaluating their own work to refine and improve. So experiment and have fun and try and keep some realistic expectations for your work. Now, before we move into program recommendations, we want to talk also about thumbnail design. So let's start with video recommended programs. We talked a little bit last week on it, but what are your go-to recommendations for somebody trying to get into the editing process?
If you absolutely need something free, there's, on the Mac side of things, you have iMovie, which comes in every pretty much Mac OS, OS X installation ever, and a lot of people never move past it because it is quite powerful. On the Windows side of things, you do have Windows Movie Maker, but I highly recommend you kind of branch out a little bit. There's a company called HitFilm that makes a program that is available for free, HitFilm 3 Express. They have a paid version, but you don't need it. DaVinci Resolve is an extremely high-level free program, but it's very hard to learn. So if you plan on just getting in and learning forever, go right ahead, but I recommend some of the easier options. If you're willing to spend like $50 or so, or even ask for that for like Christmas or something. Actually, I have a cousin who got a Vegas movie studio for Christmas last year, and that worked out because it was a fairly inexpensive Christmas present compared to some of the stuff I've asked for YouTube. But you have Vegas Movie Studio available for about $50, and it's essentially the same thing as Sony Vegas Pro, just without a couple features that you may never use. There's Adobe Premiere Elements, which I stand behind the recommendation like 1,000%. You can get a combo with it with Photoshop as well. And it's essentially the same editing workflow as the Adobe Premiere Pro that BBK and I use, and a lot of professional editors use, and a lot of YouTubers use, but it's kind of just dumbed down a little bit, made easier to use. It comes with a lot of built-in tutorials, just a great starting place. The list goes on, but then the higher level stuff that BBK and I use is Adobe's Creative Cloud, has Premiere Pro, After Effects, Photoshop, all that stuff you probably see a million and one tutorials on. Available for a subscription. If you're in college or university and have a .edu email address, you can get a significant discount on it that will save your bacon if that's what you're looking for.
Totally. So if you're new, my full recommendation and EposVox is Adobe Premiere Elements. It's a lifetime license. I think it's like $70 right now in the US on Amazon. That price kind of jumps around. And like you said, you can also get Photoshop Elements. So moving on to the thumbnail editing programs, two main options that I can think of. There's, of course, the big daddy, Photoshop himself, which you can pay for the Creative Cloud subscription for, which is a monthly fee. Or you can buy Photoshop Elements, just like Premiere Elements. It's got most of the stuff that you want, only you buy a lifetime license and it works for you for good. It's a great learning piece. If you ever upgrade to the full Creative Cloud version, the workflow transfers seamlessly, but there's a free version of Photoshop-ish called GIMP. It's an open source version of a photo editor that has a lot of the features of Photoshop. It's just a little tougher to work with, wouldn't you say, Epos?
Yeah, it's a little harder to learn. There is a lot of learning resources out there available. But some of the interface just isn't as intuitive as Photoshop is. But I also wanted to throw in, I keep forgetting every time I make this recommendation, but Adobe actually made Adobe Photoshop CS2, which is about 8 years old now. So it's an older version. It's a much older version. But if you just want something to make your thumbnails with, it's totally capable. They made their CS2 version of Photoshop available for free for everyone.
No way.
Yeah, it's a free download from their website. They did that a couple years ago, and every time I go to recommend stuff, I keep forgetting to do it. But it is available for free. It'll run on Windows or Mac, and you can actually get it running on Linux as well. I have videos on that coming soon. But that's available for free if you don't mind using older tech and feeling like you're back in Windows 7 or Vista days or something.
All right, so let's say I've got my software picked out. I'm ready to go. Time to learn editing.
Oh, yeah.
Time to master the software. So how do you become better at editing? Well, it's by editing more. The more time you put in, the more time you get out of it. Ask yourself, is this a video that I would want to watch if it showed up in my own sub box? Watch through your work. Refine those edits. Keep it concise and tight. Your viewers will definitely appreciate it. Unless it's very intentional that you're creating a long-form, unedited piece of content, short and sweet, and, generally will get more clicks when you're starting out. And by that I mean videos under like 7 minutes. If you start your channel out with nothing but 20-minute plus videos, you're asking a lot from your viewers who may not have built up trust or a good relationship with your channel yet, so they might not want to commit 20 minutes since they don't really know you or your videos. Like, look at the Game Grumps. They create incredibly popular long-form content. But if you were to just start your channel out right now and try and make videos just like theirs, it'd be a very difficult and slow road gaining momentum. Trying to add humor to your edits can make all the difference in the world, because who doesn't like to laugh?
Absolutely. And that's a little bit of a slight contradiction whenever we say to look to your favorite YouTubers, but when we say that, we also mean to look at their history and their growth of their channel. An example is, I always go back almost like once a year and rewatch, this is a weird ritual of mine, but I rewatch a lot of CNanners' old Call of Duty commentaries. You wouldn't know it by looking at his channel now, but he started out doing the most basic, and for a lot of people pretty boring, Call of Duty World at War commentaries. And they were short and sweet. They were 4 and 5 minutes long. And the same thing for so many YouTubers is honestly, like, even Let's Players nowadays all started out just doing Call of Duty commentaries. 4 or 5 minute videos. They were easy formats to make, and they were super easy to get into. And that's honestly an easy entrance to success, is you start with something easy and then you figure out ways to make it better. You figure out things to experiment with. And that's the big thing that BBK brought up, is that you don't want to just keep making the same video over and over again, because not anyone wants, like, very few people want to watch the same video concept even over and over. You want to, every time you edit, you want to look for new ways to experiment, to try something new, to make something better, and just iteratively get better at your videos. I also recommend taking a break after you've done what you think is your complete edit. If you just, you edit your video and you think it's done, don't render it yet. Don't upload it yet. Save your project, close it, play a game, go do something else, watch someone else's videos, then come back to your edit and watch through it again. You will instantly catch things that you forgot to fix or just didn't notice to fix, things that you want to improve, or new edit ideas in terms of like production quality stuff, of throwing text up on the screen, adding sound effects, adding some goofy edit, some sort of effect. So many times I have done that where I think a video is done and perfect, I rewatch it and I'm always like, oh, I missed that. I need to fix that. That could be better. I could cut all of this out. Why did I even include this? And it's just one of those steps that can make the world of difference from a boring video and an entertaining video.
You can get numb to your own edits. If you just watch it back over and over and over again, you can totally lose that sense of what a first-time viewer would see when they watch it. So 100% I agree with that, Epos. Like, saving it, doing something else, coming back the next day, even if you have that time, watching it again, you'll see stuff that you didn't see the day before and can just make it that much better. A huge question for people is, where and what music can I get and use? If I have no budget, what can I use? If I've got some budget, what can I do? And this is a hard part for new creators who aren't partnered just yet, because it's an iffy market. I've seen, I should say, interesting channels that offer no copyright music, but then down the road claim it, like years later. That kind of stuff, like, freaked me out, but I'm lucky now I'm with a network that gives me access to some production music libraries. But if you're just starting out, where do people get music, Epos?
Honestly, there is no great universal source that everyone gets it from. YouTube actually offers a set of royalty-free music in your creator studio. I can't remember exactly where it is. It's under the
Create. It's a Create tab, I think.
Yes, there it is. Hopefully they'll add more resources here too as well. But at the moment,
they've been adding more music to it in the last year, definitely.
If you click it and go to the audio library link, then there's tabs for free music and sound effects. and you can search it. You can sort by genre, mood, instrument. Like, you can really fine tune what you're looking for, play it back, and then download it, use in your video, and it automatically clears out any claims on it because they've gotten the licenses to make from the royalty-free providers to allow you to use it in your videos. And then you no longer have to worry about getting claimed because YouTube generally has your back sometimes, sort of. There's third-party sites that you can go to where they license it for, for you to use it, and you just have to provide credit. Incompetech.com, I'll post a link to it in the description below, is one I recommend that I've used a couple times. You just gotta read the licensing terms and make sure you follow directions.
Yeah, I think we could spend the next 30 minutes talking probably about copyright stuff, but essentially with music, just be careful with what you use. Make sure you read through the license and ensure that you have permission to use that piece of music on your video. That's basically the easiest it can get. I use audiomicro.com and Opus One. Those are two great sites. However, it's a benefit of my network that I get to use some of their library without having to license it on a music, like a song-by-song basis. Like on Audio Micro, I think it's $70 to license a single song for a project, which if you're a new creator, you probably just cried. Yes, music is outrageously expensive. So why don't we move on to render settings? This is something that is going to be program dependent, but generally, could you walk us through sort of some baselines?
Yes, I'm actually in the middle of scripting like dedicated videos per program for a lot of the major programs to really walk you through what you should edit with. But general ideas to keep in mind, independent of what program you're working with, is that your resolution, which is the frame size, such as 1920 by 1080 or 1280 by 720, needs to be the same from your recording to your editing project settings to your render settings. And the same thing with your frame rate, be it 30 FPS or 60 FPS, depending on what you're using to record. Those settings, unless you know a very specific reason why you're changing them, they should be the exact same from recording step to editing step to rendering step. This is going to be the biggest thing to make sure you get the highest possible quality. And that's an issue a lot of people run into when they ask me why their videos don't look as high quality as mine, is because they've got something set wrong. And so it's either like downscaling it and then scaling back up, or just making it muddy for whatever reason. When you're rendering to get the best possible like compatibility with YouTube, it needs to be an MP4 file, the H.264 codec. It's pretty much available in any program you'll ever use. And then essentially, however much bitrate you can give it up to a certain point will mean better quality. But that also means a bigger file to upload, which means if you have slower internet, it could take forever to upload. I know BBK has to drive into his work to upload videos sometimes because they're so big.
Yep.
I, for one, I like pumping as much quality as I can into my videos, so some of my videos are almost 15 gigs in size before I upload them to YouTube. It just comes down to, balancing the size versus the quality that you want. An average medium setting for rendering, again, in just about any program, is 12 to 16 megabits per second, and on the high end, it'd be about 28 megabits per second. There's some fine-tuning that goes into it based on what your actual recording quality is. But even for 60 FPS, this will serve you very well because YouTube actually compresses the video down to a tiny, tiny bit rate. But the more bits you give it, the more data it has to work with and the better overall result. Audio is still very important though. I recommend always rendering your audio at 320 kilobits per second, especially if you're recording your raw voiceover. That way it has the best possible audio quality to work with. And the frequency, it'll give you that option. The default should be 44,100 or 48,000. You don't even need to know what that means. As long as it says one of those, you're good to go. Lastly, I want to mention that please do not render to 60 FPS if you didn't actually record a 60 FPS video. It can't magically make your video 60 frames a second. It'll just confuse viewers and it creates a lot of problems with your render settings. However, it is okay to render a 30 FPS video if you record in 60, if you're trying to just save on file size or something like that. But please don't try to imitate 60 FPS. It doesn't actually work.
And it'll just add render time. It'll be a waste of your time and resources, basically.
It literally has to fake those frames.
In conclusion, though, I want to say this. The biggest thing with editing that I've learned over the years, don't give up. Be relentless in your pursuit of learning. And always Google, because you are going to have 1,000,001 questions. And sometimes it's a tiny little tick box buried way deep in a random preference setting that you have no idea about. But I guarantee you, 6 other people have asked that question on Creative Cow forums. So the better you get at Googling your questions, the answers are online for almost all of these things. And anyone watching this video can learn how to edit and improve at editing over time. But just don't give up. Don't get intimidated. And in no time, you're going to be pumping out videos, and it's an addictive process. You're going to really enjoy it, I think, because it's a very fun, creative, sit down, and you are like the guy sculpting the video. It's a lot of fun.
Yes. And I just wanted to add in real quick that rewatching your video and aiming for that goal that we mentioned before of appreciating your own video, of enjoying watching your own video, making that decision of would I want to watch this, is key to making some of your best videos. It's honestly one of the best feelings in the world I've gotten from videos is when I can upload it and then just sit there and play it again and again from time to time, because not only am I proud of what I made, but I thoroughly enjoy watching it. And that's a feeling when you get that from your own work that is very important to like reward yourself creatively.
Well said. Very well said, Shaw. All right, next week we're doing part 3. It's here on Epos's channel. It's all about growth strategies, something Epos is really good at, and he's helped other channels do so. Growth tips, best practices, branding, thumbnail design, optimal upload times. This one is the real strategy of trying to get your channel off the ground, past 100 subs, and then past 1,000 subs. So join us next week. If you guys enjoy the video, please let us know with a like. Thanks, Epos, for having me on, man.
Thank you. And if you missed part 1, it is up over on BBK's channel. Link will be in the YouTube card description below. You know the drill. Go check it out. We discussed all the hardware like you mentioned before, and it's a really good video, one I've been meaning to make for a long time, so I'm glad we got it together. But thanks for joining me.
Of course. See you next time.
See ya.
Cool.
That came out weird. See ya.
Yeah.
Nope. I don't know.